All right, hey, welcome to another episode of the Practical Wealth Small Business Spotlight. And so today, whereas our goal is, I want to highlight entrepreneurs that are doing great things in the community, and you to get to know them and tell them what you do, and or get to know what they do to see if they could be able to be of service to you. Hold on, gotta put my phone on silent. There we go. And so I've Jennifer Bennett, who's a real estate broker for 26 years. I'm gonna let her tell you her story, and she's the broker owner of her own business, Perfect Place Real Estate. All right. And so she's been in business a while. And one of the things I heard that I've been saying, entrepreneurship is a life sentence. And so once you taste it, you can't go back. And even though you feel like it, but it passes, right? After a while. And so Jennifer, tell them about a little bit about yourself, and tell them tell them about how you got there. Did you get bit by a radioactive spider and get superpowers? Like, give me your a 30-second, 45-second origin story, and then let's talk about you more.
All right. Well, first of all, just a quick correction. I have been in my own business this is my 17th year.
Okay.
On September 15th, and will be 17 years of being a part of Perfect Place, being owner of Perfect Place Real Estate. I started in
Wow.
2009
Mm-hmm.
on September 15th. But I've been licensed since 2000. All right. So try to give you the short version is that I was in a situation and I needed to move, and I had 3 children. I was at that time recovering from postpartum depression, domestic violence, and I was living from house to house, and I found an abandoned house, and that I just basically talked to the owners who said they were out of the state, they weren't coming back. So I just stayed there. And while I was there, I people were supposed to give me the property through a program called the Donor Taker Program, which they had a long time ago, which they don't have that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then they reneged, but I was still living there, so I was like, well, I guess I'm going to stay here. And I was driving down a street in North Philly, and I saw a real estate company, much like mine, with a sign in the window, and it said agents wanted. Something told me to go talk to those people and see if I can stay here legally. So I went in, I talked to the broker, whose name is Bill Hardy, who is a dear, dear friend of mine. And I explained the situation to him. And on the way out, he gave me a business card, and he wrote the name of and phone number of the GPAR Realty Board School.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I got into real estate. And I've been in it ever since. And that was around 1997. And so I've been in real estate since 2000. I got fired from my job in 2000, and which was great because at that time, the real estate market was like the gravy train. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's the days of milk and honey when a
Okay.
dead person could get a mortgage. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, I don't need this job anymore. I didn't have time for it, frankly. And so after I worked with Bill for 2 years, then I ended up working for Remax in Overbrook Park for another 7 years. And in 2009, then Remax, that's when the real estate market had crashed.
Mm-hmm.
And they closed the office I was in. And they wanted me to go to Northeast, but all my clients, all my life is in West Philly. So I just started my own brokerage. I had enough credits, I had enough years, I had enough, qualifications to open my own brokerage. So I did that in
Mm-hmm.
2009. So I've been in it ever since. It's been up and down, but consistently my mission has been to help other people. Somebody's in my office making noise right now.
That's all
Can
right.
you hear him?
No,
Okay. Um, so I've
a little
just
bit, but
been, okay. You can hear?
a little bit. Like your microphone will block it out, but so it's fine.
All right. Do you want me to tell him to be quiet?
Yes.
Okay. Hold on one second. So I started with one agent who
Mm-hmm.
was wonderful, and it just grew to two, to three, to four. And over the years, I have hired agents from different, resources, different communities. I even hired my Uber driver, who was a phenomenal agent.
Okay.
There's really been a lot of growth over the years because of the people who I've hired. But my initial mission, though, was for me to reflect on my situation, which was that my ability to secure a stable home for my children
Mm.
and myself really was a life changing event.
Okay.
And I felt like I wanted to help other people like myself, single mothers, not only, but in particular for mothers to understand that when you own a home, you're giving your children something much more than just a roof over their head. When they're in an apartment moving from, it's not the best, you know, situation. And studies have shown that children of homeowners fare better in school. There's less teenage pregnancies. They're more likely to graduate from college. They're more likely to own a home. There are all these intangible benefits of owning a home. In addition to your ability to have housing security, because when you own a home versus when you pay rent, if you get into a problem and things happen, life happens. When you get into a challenge, if you own a property, even if you have a mortgage, the mortgage company will work with you. They'll talk to you. They'll say, okay, listen, we can put some on the back end. If you get in, even if you get into foreclosure action, you still have time to rectify your situation, put yourself into a better financial situation, go to school, get a better job, or just sell it. You have a lot of options when you own, but when you rent, you do not have those options. The landlord is 100% in control.
Mm.
And so
Yep.
even because I heard people, if you buy a house, the mortgage company you still got to pay for it, blah, blah, blah. Listen, at the end of the day, you have a whole lot more options when you own than when you rent. And you're in control. So one of my friends was, against mortgages. And he was like, I'm not getting no house. I'm not buying a house. I said, your landlord's going to kick you out because the house was in University City. And I said, you think you're secure, but trust me when I tell you, your landlord's going to kick you out. And so one day he called me. He was like, "Oh my God!" I said, "What happened?" "I got to move. The landlord sold the building." I said, "Yeah, okay. So now you ready to buy?" "Yeah, right." So now he owns his home. He loves it, and he's in control. Even looking at buying another home.
Mm-hmm.
So people just need to understand that owning a home is so much more than just the idea of buying a house. And this
That's
is
a really good point because, there are people that, so from an accounting standpoint, like I'm a rich dad, poor dad fan, so your house is not an asset. It is an asset, but he defines assets that provides cash flow, which would
mm-hmm.
be a rental property. But and I see your mission provide a certain amount of stability. One of the things, so I've known Jennifer for a while. She's actually one of our clients, and you help people get over that hump, that are stuck, not, you'll work with everybody, but I've seen your daughters help people that didn't think they could get it, and you help them get into your house. And is that's where you see your mission.
That is the mission. As a matter of fact, our tagline is perfect place real estate, educating and empowering the community through real estate. Because the community that I work in needs a lot of education about real
Right,
estate.
right.
I was talking with a gentleman yesterday because we're upgrading our website. I was saying to him, one of the things I wanted him to put on the website is that we can help people when they're in a problem. Because a lot of people, when they can't pay their mortgage and they get those letters in the mail and FedEx coming every day, they think, the world is going to end. But I've had people call me when their property was going to sheriff's sale like the next day. And I was able to call the foreclosure attorney, call the sheriff's office, say, hey, hold on 1 second. She's going to sell the house. She's not going to lose it. So in that particular situation, she was able to stay in the house for another almost year that it took for a short sale.
Mm-hmm.
And the bank gave her money to move.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, what you got to do, one of the things I'll say, you got to open the letters. Like, don't put your head in the sand. Because
yeah.
if you get to the point where you're a sheriff's cell, you've been asleep at the wheel for 6 months because they've been, you got to get, it's a legal thing. So you got to answer it. Right. But they, I don't think most real estate agents do that or know how to do that stuff,
Yeah,
like
could
how to
be. Yeah,
respond to that. Because I just want to sell a house, and
that's
you
true.
know, so I think that's one of the things that make you unique. You care, and well, I mean, everybody cares, but you care, and then you really will help them solve their problem.
Yeah, so I was saying that to him that a lot of people, especially now with the way the economy is, people losing their jobs, they need to know that they don't have to lose their house. They don't have
Hmm.
to just,
Hmm.
fall apart. When they have an option, when they own a house, they have options that someone
Hmm.
who's renting doesn't.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's part of the education part, that we're not only here, we want to sell people properties for sure, but we also want to help people to, if they own a property and they have some challenges, we want to be able to help them with that too.
Okay.
We
What?
benefit and so do they.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So let's talk about some of your business philosophy. You've said to me for a while that you believe strongly business owners should own the property where they operate. Why do you feel that's so important?
Well, I'm going to give you my first and strongest case study.
Hmm.
There was a gentleman who owned an Italian restaurant in the Northeast, somewhere. I'm not even sure where. But I just remember this story specifically that he had a successful business and maybe there for 20 or 30 years renting. And one day the landlord just made a decision that he was selling the building. So he had to shut down his business. This was a successful business. He was in that business for decades,
Hmm.
serving generations of customers. And because he didn't own the property, the landlord was in control of his business.
Right.
And this is something that I think people have to think about and avoid. And that's just the worst case scenario.
Right.
But the best case scenario is that when you own your property, especially if you got a mixed use property, that you have multiple income streams versus renting. When you're renting, you're paying your rent, all the money goes to the landlord. And the equity in the property goes to the landlord. When you own, you still have to pay rent,
Hmm.
but you pay rent to yourself.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. And not only do you pay rent to yourself, you can have other people paying rent to you. One of the properties that I sold, he has a business now, but he didn't not then. But he bought a duplex that was just a 1+1 duplex. I was shocked. It was like just a 1+1. And after a few years, he saved some money, he was buying properties with cash. And I said, how did you do that? Well, he rented one apartment and a one apartment, and he had a street level basement and he had two garages. So, what he did was he separated the street level basement, made two different units, and he had two garages. So, from that one duplex, he had one, two, three, four, five, six incomes.
Mm. Wow.
And so, when you're looking at owning a property as a business owner, this is the benefit you get. You could potentially have one of the tenants pay your mortgage, depending on the price of the building.
Right.
While you can, weather whatever storms, or you can just maximize on your profit because someone else is paying for the property. I met a guy who used to have I can't think of his name now, but he had a club in Atlanta that was like this big thing. And that was
Hmm.
one of those clubs where they had people dancing and they had Jill Scott and all of these neo people,
Hmm.
unannounced. They didn't know who was going to be there, but people were lined up around the corner to go to his property. They had live artists. He was just doing something totally different than everybody else was doing. And he kind of got, and that was before like MTV or some type of technology came out that kind of pushed his business out of business. And I asked him, what would you have done differently? He said, you know what the mistake I made? I said, what? He said, the guy who I was renting that building from, he offered to sell me that building. And I said, no. And he said, that was the biggest mistake that I made in my business. He didn't even regret, his business failing. He
Right.
said, if I would have bought that building, I would have been in a totally different position than I was when his business.
Oh, absolutely. Because I'll tell you a personal story. So when family in the Philly was in a tavern business, so the last one we sold, you get the real estate, the goodwill, because they didn't really have a
Mm-hmm.
business, the fixtures and that kind of stuff, and we had a liquor license. So
Mm-hmm.
the most valuable thing was the real estate
Right.
that my parents bought for 10,000, and I think at the end of the day it was worth like two something, right? Plus the license and enough, it was like the other some of like five, six, $7,000 for the other stuff. It was nothing. But
Right.
so you've got to. My dad just said, look, you got to own the place where you operate. Is
Yes.
is the if you can, the most important thing, because otherwise you'll have nothing. I think about that with our business when we buy an office building, right? And because the main thing you'll have to show for is your rent receipts that you can write off if you have a business, but ownership, appreciation, equity is better.
Yeah, because I was thinking about it and I was saying to myself that, you know, ownership of real estate for a business owner is a must.
Yeah.
It's almost like insurance for your business.
Mm,
Why? Because your business may grow, okay, it may ebb and flow. But if you own real estate, then you have a better opportunity for that growth to happen over time in ways that your business may not.
mm-hmm.
So forgive me. So I encourage, and guess what? There's a bazillion ways for business owners to buy real estate in Philly right now.
Mm-hmm.
The city is offering so much opportunity for business owners right now. There's a program now called the Creole Program. I went through that program. Matter of fact, my hand is on their website. Thank you very
Mm-hmm.
much. Right now, they just increased it to $400,000 purchase price maximum, and they offer $50,000 grant money, including you can use that money for the down payment,
Wow.
and it's only 10% down.
Wow. Okay.
I've been pushing, and their credit score minimums are like 540.
So if this is for Philadelphia, right?
This is for Philadelphia.
So guys, if you're in Philadelphia, she knows the program. You probably should reach out to her. And let me ask you. So let's talk about entrepreneurship a little bit. So, what do you wish someone had told you when you first started your business? Like, so go back 17 years. What, you know, I hate to say, because if we knew how hard it was, you might not have done it. But the
Well, one of the things that I wish I had done earlier was really you have to build, the best way to build is to build a strong team.
hmm
And I think a lot of times, a lot of business owners like myself, when you're flying solo, it's difficult. It's really difficult. And I think that's one of the key pieces is that when you look at small business owners who don't scale, a lot of it is just because you only have two hands, two eyes, two legs. And I think about the lady a woman who had inherited her father's business, and it was a chicken restaurant somewhere down south.
hmm
And you can check it, but only details I can remember is remember hearing her say, "Oh yeah, I'm every woman. I do this, I do that. I check the inventory, I check the temperature, I do." She's saying how she does everything, and guess what happened to her? 55 years old. She's dead.
Oh, wow.
And the business was worth 70 million. But what was it really worth? You know? So I think that one of the key things for business owners to do is to learn how to delegate, how to find people who are willing to help you, and to know how to structure yourself so that they can help you too. Because
Yeah,
sometimes
I
I
mean,
had people who
this.
were willing to help me, but I wasn't. One lady was like, "Jennifer, I'll work for you. You don't have to pay me." And I just wasn't prepared, to let go of some of those things I need to let go of. So I think that's probably one of the key things in business that people need to be thinking about.
What? Yeah, business is a team sport, So as we work with people at Practical Wealth, it's like, all right, now I'm starting to get into, because I'm looking for myself. Out of all these things that need to get done, it's probably four things I should be doing. I know I tell you this all the time, you know,
Mhm.
and and working your delegating so you can grow, because there's certain things that are below talking to, just lessons for entrepreneurs that you let go so you can grow.
Right.
And tell them, so did I miss anything that you want to say? And then I want to tell people how people support you and or work with you.
No, I think we've covered, most of the bases that I had on top of my head. I had some other things that I wanted to say, but I think they're not really necessary. Just that I think that one of the things I want to share that I believe in as a business owner is the connection between business and community. My connection with between business and community is very strong, and I think it's really what's allowed me to be sustainable in business. I have do all different type of programs within my office. Over the years, I've had all different type of people in here. I had seniors and I had children. I had dance programs. We had birthday parties. We had film shoots. We have had uh, self defense classes.
Okay.
We just had anything to bring people here to do something for them that is positive and beneficial to them. Because to me, if you don't have a community that's healthy, you can't have a business that's healthy. And that health is mental health, it's physical health, it's financial health. And I strongly believe in that. And I try to do what I can to give back to the community and make the building available to the people in the community to host
Right.
events, because I've never had an event here where there wasn't at least one person who needed real estate services. And that's not even why I did it,
Right.
but it's
Right.
just an incidental because it's
Right.
something that everyone needs, especially in our community. We're lacking. There's a,
Right. I think now that you think about it, I think I've spoken at your place at least 4 or 5 times.
yeah, people need knowledge,
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
need knowledge, they need education, but they also need a release. They need community. They
Hmm.
need to learn and they need to share with each other. And I think there's value for the
That's
businesses.
the point. I think the ability to feel like you and I, we need to congregate. Like we need to be
Right,
in a place where the energy and the networking and the knowledge can be shared, you know,
right.
verbally, that kind of stuff. And I think you do a good job of providing that. And you have the expertise to see, because good we're good at is solving problems, because she's been in so long. Sometimes you take for granted how good you are at solving real estate problems.
Well, I don't take that for granted because I was a math major in
Okay.
college.
Okay.
And I was always a great problem solver. And sometimes I solve theorems that I don't even know how I did it. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Okay.
I was thinking about it the other day and I was talking with sharing with my youth that, I really, this background has really been a staple in my life because I'm always able to solve problems because I always believe there's always a solution to problems,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Always.
and every life presents, all life is problems.
That's true. Okay. So so entrepreneurs solve problems.
Yeah, yeah.
So, from you business owners listening, the bigger the problem, don't run from problems, because revenue is a result of solving other people's problems.
Right.
And that's what you do. And so the bigger the problem, the bigger the check, honestly.
Right.
But so don't run and look at problem solving as raw material so that you can get better and better at solving problems.
Exactly.
And
And the more you help people, the more they help, the more money you
right.
can make.
Because that's it. See, if you focus, see, people say I want to make more money, and that's the wrong question. The question is, how can I serve more people? How can I serve the community? So what happens is money is a result. That's people hear this, and I'm not talking to y'all,
No,
but
it's
capitalism 101 is capitalism is an ever expanding. See, people have the wrong, what don't understand what is. It's an ever expanding system of cooperation among strangers. That is what you're doing. And so the money is a result of serving, of creating value to the marketplace. So if you make
right.
money, you're solving problems And so as entrepreneurs, I know I do, and you do. I obsess over my who's my ideal client, what problems do they have, how can I solve them?
Right.
And so tell them who should be calling you and how do they find you?
Oh, okay. So I'm looking for to help anyone with real estate challenges. You can always reach me at my website, which is perfectplacere.com. Our office number is 215-9053, and that is a 24/7 phone number. But that's
So,
the best way to reach us.
all right.
That's it.
So problems, you want to buy a house, you want to sell a house, you want to buy a building for your business.
Right.
If you are looking for, I'll just add this because I know this is what you're trying to do also,
Oh,
a
okay. The
career
grant.
change.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. She's expanding, hiring good
Yes, we're
agents.
looking for an agent.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons we're looking for agents because there's a ton of first-time homebuyer grants available to people.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, I'm actually writing an ebook about first-time homebuyer grants.
Mm-hmm.
And first-time homebuyer grants can go up to 20, 30, $50,000 that people don't even have to come to the table with money. Not that you don't need money. Don't think
Right.
that,
Right. Right.
right?
I
They
ain't got
want
no
you to
money,
have
but I
some.
want a house. No,
You need to
that's not
have
how it
it,
works.
but you
Okay.
may not need to use it. But there's a lot of first-time homebuyer grants available to people. People think they need 10, 20, $30,000 to buy a house. It's not
Mm-hmm.
true. So if you're looking tired of renting and paying your landlord's mortgage, give us a shout, give us a call. We'll talk to you about first-time homebuyer opportunities.
Okay. All right. Hey guys, another episode of the a fantastic episode. I want to thank Jennifer so much for coming on of the
Thank you.
Small
Thank
Business
you.
Spotlight of the Practical Wealth Show. And so, you want to get to know the people that you're working with. And so now you want to know somebody that has a heart. Because one of the things in real estate is, caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. So you got to have somebody that's advocating for you. And Jennifer does a great job of doing that.
All right. Thank you so much, Curtis. We appreciate you.
Well, you should. No, just kidding.
All
So
right.
we joke because I've been for a long time. So anyway, y'all have a great day out there.
All right. Thank you again. Take care.